Let's see if anybody's still awake. All right, we are here. All right. I know we're late. Let's see how. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Ash? Let's see how bad I get yelled at. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just replied to her comment too.
That's
I
funny.
made her cackle so loud that her kitty
I take no responsibility. No, no, no. It was life. Life was lifing today. Life was lifing. So, oh man. She's like, I take no. I know, Em. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Freaking, we had to be adults and feed the kids and yeah, pick them up from school. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, life was lifing. So, ooh, but that's okay. We might not get everything in tonight, but we'll get some in. You know what I'm saying? That's what she said. Hey. Hey, what's up, Veg? How we doing? All right. All righty then. So, well, I want to thank everybody for stopping by, hanging out. Woo. Oh, man. What haven't you seen? My butthole? Yeah, you see that? Now it's happening. Now it's happening. You just can't hear it for that to turn the volume up. Now it's happening. Now, oh, Jake, you have your 7 of fish? Wow. What did you say?
Well, you gotta be okay with that. It's like the lavender soap.
I didn't want to say it. See, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yes.
You gonna put my
Still rocking it. What?
I mean, he buys it, so that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Then he can.
Good soup. Good soup. Good soap. Good soup. Soap. Soapy soup.
Maybe he could talk to Harlan about his soap hookup.
I still want to know what the fuck he's got that God soap. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it smells like your room candle.
My hair all. You know, we put that stuff in my hair, and then you never did You never did the other part. This is what always happens. This is what always happens. This is anyway. Anyway, so we're gonna just let it be. What's up? What up?
I lied.
All is good in the world now?
Yeah, they dropped You feel better now? Yeah, and they're actually following it, and they now have my favorite.
Yay! She's happy now. Nothing's healing your wrath right now. I'm sorry. We have protective barrier. You can't hurt us. You can't hurt us. Stop! No!
She's right behind me, isn't she? No, right
That's
here.
funny.
Hello.
All right. Emily, we learned nothing about the good soap. That's funny. All right. So, is everybody excited? I'm excited. I'm excited. So, just so we know, we're gonna go. If we get our stuff in tonight, we'll get it in. If not, I'm just gonna stop at the normal time, and I will finish on a afternoon sometime stream. And then we'll still get together tomorrow night for Theory Thursday. So we'll get what we get in, and then what we don't finish, if you're free tomorrow afternoon, for those of you that can break away or have that ability,
maybe a lunch.
Maybe that was what we'll do. But without actually, there's going to be some further ado. Here, have this, and you're going to talk to her for a second. All right, Courtney. Have a good night. I hope your first day back in school was getting better. I know you was having a rough one. I hope it's getting better.
lack of sparkly things in my closet. I could probably borrow Liz Face's prom dress, but I'm also trying to make this a look that I'll wear all day, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear a prom dress all day. So maybe, yes, this was my part of today for the cereal. He likes it. So I have options. It was the blue fairy that is in the first part. I think happens sometime within the first like 15 chapters. Yeah, the teacup's inside. I put it back in the china hutch. You should. Oh my god. The cup, every time I held it, the cup would move and it rattled. And it was giving me so much anxiety filming it because the cup kept rattling. And I was trying not to like knock it over. But then low-key I was getting a little frustrated because I had the hood and it was sliding down and I couldn't see with the mask. So there's a lot of like awkward moments and me going, you know, that was good times. It's good. But we worked through it. And the rest we muted. It's fine. Luckily, you couldn't see my mouth moving with the mask, so. Yes, I think I'm stuck between the blue fairy and maybe a Farah painting moment. Like, something like that. I don't know. If you think of anything, let me know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, I could probably do something, maybe like a smocky. I don't know. Gotta think. All right.
Enjoy. I like the painting idea. You could do like the. I know she's not wearing overalls, but you know, like she's all that messy bun, paint on your face, like you were actually doing a project. You know what I mean? You know, something like that. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? A smocky, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. All right, so we're gonna stretch out. We're gonna stretch out right here. We're gonna get this air into our lungs before we start reading this good air. Oh boy, that was a big one, Arun. All right, everybody, remember where we left off? We left off with more tam glazing from the Spring Court people, and then he went to go fight the bog. I'm not gonna lie, when you type bog, B-O-G-G-E, a few times, it starts to look like one of those weird words. But then he went to go fight that thing. He went to fight that, and he left. She looking out the window, and she looks down, and she sees her dad. That's where we at. How do you really feel about Wise? Well, I don't want to spoil anything in case there might be anybody in here. So Tamlin he's there's man, that's something in my chest. He's a smart, merry, aristocrat, rich, very brave, oh yeah. Oh, I I think I might.
Honest.
He never lies. Never lies.
Did we mention it was opposite day?
Honestly, he's not the worst first Fey man to meet compared to. Very good, very true, Emily, very true. But I think he'll always, even though he's not the worst, I think he'll always be the worst because he was my first. You know what I mean? He was the first betrayal. I think that might be what it is. Ooh, you knocked me down. All right. So, I don't know. But here we go. I don't know. When you did that for a second, I just felt like that old Sons of Anarchy picture when they showed it was JT and Gemma, but then they transitioned to Jack and fucking what's her nuts? Tara. Yeah, that was not very. Tara. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Tara. Like, just you know what I'm saying? Just the way they were saying. Well, if you were to put your hand, because like she did the whole hand, but I was just saying. Fair. Anyway, digressing. Chapter 11. Okay, let's get to it. Good. Googly moogly. Woman distracts me all the times with her mind, body, and soul, and arts and crafts. Let's go. Chapter 11. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I didn't give myself a chance to panic, to doubt, to do anything, but wish I had stolen some food from my breakfast table as I layered on tunic after tunic and bundled myself in a cloak. Stuffing the knife I'd stolen into my boot, the extra clothes in a satchel would just be a burden to carry. My father had come to take me, to save me. Oh, my woman. Whatever benefits Tamlin had given him upon my departure couldn't be too tempting. Then, maybe he had shipped, prepared to take us far, far away. Maybe he had someone to sold the cottage and got enough money to set us up in a new place, a new continent, a new bulb. I don't even think she's a bulb at this point anymore. She just might be burnt out at this current moment. She might just be filament still needing to be coiled, okay? That's all right. She gonna learn. All right. A quick survey of the grounds beneath my window revealed no one outside. The silent window told me no one had spotted my father yet. Oh. He was still waiting by the hedge, now beckoning to me. At least Tamlin had not returned. With a final glance at my room, listening for anyone approaching from the hall, I grasped the nearby trellis and wisteria and eased down the building. I winced at the crunch and the gravel beneath my boots, but my father was already moving towards the outer gates, limping along with his cane. How had he even gotten here? Think about it, woman! There had to be a horsey nearby then. Horses nearby. Why the fuck did I put a Y there? Horses nearby then. He was hardly wearing enough clothes for the winter. I would await us once we crossed the wall. But I layered on so much that I could spare him some items if need be. Like, she's pointing out all these signs right now and she still doesn't see it. Is hilarious. But I get it. I would have probably been fooled too. We'll just keep it going, keeping it real, keeping my movements light and silent, carefully avoiding the light of the moon. I hurried after my father. He moved with surprised swiftness towards the darkness hedges and the gate beyond. Only a few hall candles were burning inside the house. I don't dare breathe too loudly. Don't dare call for my father as he limped toward the gate. If we left now, if he indeed had horses, we could be halfway by home by now, by the time they realized I was gone. And then we'd flee. Flee Tamlin. Flee the blight that could soon invade our lands. My father reaches the gates. They were open already. The dark forest beyond beckoning. He must have hidden the horses deeper in. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. He turned to me, the familiar face drawn tight and those brown eyes clear for once. He beckoned. Hurry, hurry. Every moment his hands seemed to shout. My heart was a raging beat in my chest, in my throat. Only a few feet now to him, to freedom, to a new life. A massive hand wrapped around my arm. Going somewhere. Shit. Tamlin's claws poked through my layers of clothes as I looked up at him, an unabashed terror. I didn't dare move, not as his lips thinned and his muscles in his jaw quivered. Ooh, quiver, Tamlin, quiver. Not as he opened his mouth, and I glimpsed fangs. Long, throat-tearing fangs shining in the moonlight. He was going to kill me. Kill me right there. And then kill my father. No more loopholes. No more flattery. No more mercy. Oh, Tamlin the merciful. He didn't care anymore. I was as good as dead. Please, my father. Your father? He lifted his stare to the gates behind him, and his growl rumbled through me as hard as he bared his teeth. Why don't you look again? He released me. Excuse me. Wait, I can't find. Oh, hang on. We're gonna let her go. We're gonna give Sarah a second to find earpieces. We'll read kind of quiet. Why don't you look again? He released me. I staggered back a step, whirling, sucking in a breath to tell my father to run. But he wasn't there. Only a pale bow and a quiver of pale arrows remained, popped up against the gates. Mountain ash. They hadn't been there moments before. Hadn't. They ripple, as if there was nothing but water. And then the bow and quiver became a large pack, laden with supplies. Another ripple. And then there were my sisters, huddled together, weeping. My knees buckled. What is the... I didn't finish the question. My father now stood there, still hunched and beckoning, a flawless rendering. Weren't you warned to keep your wits about you? Tamlin snapped. That your human senses will betray you? He stepped beyond me to let a snarl so vicious that whatever that thing was by the gates shimmered with light and darted out as fast as a lightning streaked through the dark. Fool, he said to me, turning. If you're ever going to run away, at least do it in the daytime. He stared down at me. The fangs slowly retracted. The claws remained. There are worse things than the bog, prowling these woods at night. The thing at the gates isn't one of them, and it still would have taken a good long while devouring you. Okay, Sarah, no worries, love. I'm sorry that your earphones weren't ready. Okay, it was devoured, lightning streak down, devouring you. Somehow my mouth began working again, and all of the things to say I blurted. Can you blame me? My crippled father appears beneath my window, and you think I'm not going to run to him? Do you actually think I'd gladly stay here forever? Even if you'd taken care of my family? All for some treaty that had nothing to do with me and allows your kind to slaughter humans as you see fit? He flexed his fingers as if trying to get the claws back in, but they remained out, ready to go slice through my flesh and bone. Flesh and bone. What do you want, Feyre? I want to go home. Home to what exactly? You'd prefer that miserable human existence to this? I made a promise, I said, my breathing ragged, to my mother when she died, that I'd look after my family, that I'd take care of them. All I have done, every single day, every hour has been for that vow. And just because I was hunting to save my family, to put food in their bellies, I'm now forced to break it. That does kind of suck. I mean, I feel you. I do feel you. It does suck. It does suck. If only you weren't, if they were only lying to you, right? If only they were lying to you. He stalked toward the house, and I gave him a wide berth before falling into this step behind him. His claws slowly retracted. He didn't look at me and said, you are not breaking your vow. You are fulfilling it, and then some, by staying here. Your family is better cared for now than they were when you were there. Ooh, Feyre did make a bargain with Mama, Emily. She did. She did. She did make a bargain with Mama. Would we call it a bargain? Ooh, that's something we can discuss. I like it. Okay. I mean, she says right here on page 98, she says, I made a promise to my mother on this one. If we find out, right, yeah, mom would have to be Fae. We don't know that. We just have speculations. For all we know, she could be human. Speculations of which possibly maybe a Fae. I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's possible. So the only question I ever have, and I think this gets answered, I think everybody in here's read this, right? I don't want to spoil nobody. So, all right, if you haven't read ACOTAR and the whole series yet, if you hadn't read the whole series yet, just okay. I'll wait 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. Now, I know Feyre, like, she's human now. And then, you know, we know she gets a bond, and only the Fae have bonds. Now, we're saying she gets that bond because each of the 7 gave her a bit of them, right? But what if mom was a little fae, so she's got a little fae in her already, and something like that, maybe? You know? That's a good point, DW. What did Feyre get? Yeah. She does get the Q. Oh, Q. I knew that's funny. No, I'm not saying she got the bond. I'm saying she became Fae because of their powers. But what I was saying, what if mom was like partially Fae, and that's why, like, we think she got the Fae because of their powers. But what if actually she just had a small part already? You see what I'm saying? Maybe something like that. Probably not. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we're just throwing noodles on a wall here. But I don't think that is. It's just one of those things that popped in. You know what I mean? So, okay. So we need to come back to that. Is there a bargain with her mama, or is it just Feyre made a promise and she's so hard struck on keeping this promise that she's putting her life through fucking hell? That's where we're kind of at right now. You know what I mean? Excuse me. All right. Cool. All right. So I think we got that. Yeah, okay. This is what I think, and that's what Reese and Cassian felt the bond before Feyre and Nesta did. Okay. Interesting. I like it. I like ideas like that. That's a good one. That's something we can definitely we definitely have to look into more. We're definitely gonna need to look into this one. I like it. I like what we're coming up with. We got some good ideas, y'all. We got some things to look into. We're gonna have to assign some people homework. Hated homework. Now I like homework. What is happening? What have you women, what have y'all done to me? Thanks, Liz. This is all your fault. Anyway, where were we? All right there. Those chipped, miscolored painting inside the cottage flashed in my vision. Perhaps they would forget who even painted them in the first place. Insignificant. That's what all those years I'd given them would be. As insignificant as if I was a high fae. And that dream I had of one day living with my father with enough food and money and paint. It had been my dream. Excuse me, no one else's. I'm not blaming. Y'all encouraging me. That's what I'm saying. If y'all wouldn't encourage me so much, I wouldn't be doing this. And the only reason I'm doing this is because of my wife. So honestly, yeah, I'm blaming y'all. I'm blaming y'all for this, but it's a good blame. It's an okay blame. I appreciate you blame, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, I am. I am. Bring it. But guess what? You know what? I can do this. Watch this. Oh, but you don't get to finish it. Ha ha. How about that? Ooh, we could do this one instead. But we don't have to do that because I had to buy. No, I'm sorry. That was very rude. Man. That was rude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She was throwing all her rotten vegetables at me. Get in there and say, hey, yes, please. Come on, mamacita. All right, there. I hope. Why is this is a punishment, not punishment? Yeah. Okay. You say that. Mm-hmm. And we're going to continue the story before this gets going on. You know what I mean? I shall not be placated and distracted by pretty redheaded men. I fucking love y'all so much. Oh my lord. I rubbed in my chest. I can't just give up on them. No matter what you say. Even if I had been fooled, a stupid, human fool, to believe my father would ever actually come for me. Emma's, I don't like redheads. So you say, Em. And Tamlin eyed me songlong. Tamlin eyed me sidelong. You're not giving up on them. Living in luxury, stuffing myself with food? How is that not? They are cared for. They are fed and comfortable. Fed and comfortable? If he couldn't lie, if it was true, then it was beyond anything I had ever dared hope for. Then my vow to my mother was fulfilled. See, now it's a vow. First it was a promise, now it's a vow. It stunned me enough I didn't say anything for a moment as we walked, my life now owned by a treaty, but perhaps I'd been freed in another sort of way. We neared the sweeping stairs that led to the manor, and I finally asked, Lucian goes on the border patrols, and you mentioned another sentries. Yet I've never seen one here. Where are they all? At the border, he said. And if that is a suitcase, if that were a suitcase, a suitable answer, then he added, we don't need sentries if I'm here, because he was deadly enough. I tried not to think about it, but still I asked, were you trained as a warrior then? Oh, Feyre, my love. Yes. When I didn't reply, he added, I spent most of my life in my father's warband on the borders, training as a warrior to one day serve him, or others, running these lands. Was not supposed to fall to me. The flatness in which he said that told me enough about how he felt about his current title. Sorry, Dad. Cat shit in here because it smells like a pile of bullshit. Anyway, sorry about why my presence of this silver-tongued fen was necessary. But it was too personal, too demanding to ask what had occurred and changed his circumstances so greatly. So I cleared my throat. I said, what manners of fairies prowl the woods beyond the gates? If the bog isn't the worst of them, what was that thing? What I mean to ask was, what would have tormented and then eaten me? Who are you to be so powerful that they pose no threat to you? He paused at the bottom step, waiting for me to catch up. A puka. They use their own desires to lure you into some remote place. Then they eat you slowly. Slowly. It'll probably smell your human scent in the woods and followed you to the house. I shivered and I didn't bother to hide it. Tamlin went on. These lands used to be well guarded. The deadlier fairies were contained within the borders of their native territories, monitored by the local Fey lords, or driven into hiding. The creatures like the puka never dared set foot here. But now the sickness has infected Printhia, and has weakened the wards that kept them out. A long pause, like words were choked out of him. Things are different now. It's not safe to travel alone at night, especially if you're human, because humans were defenseless as babies compared to natural-born predators like Lucian and Tamlin. Fucking Tamlin. We don't need weapons to hunt. I glanced at my hands and found no trace of claws, only 10 calloused skin. What else is different now? I asked, trailing him up the marble fronts. He didn't stop this time. He didn't even look over his shoulder to see me. He said, everything. So I truly was to live there forever. As much as I longed to ensure that Tamlin's word about caring for my family was true, as much as he claimed that I was taking better care of my family by staying away, even if I was truly fulfilling that vow to my mother by staying in Prynthian. Okay, now it's a vow again. So we got a promise and a vow. All right. Without the weight of that promise, now we're back to a promise. Oh my God, it goes promise, vow, promise. I was left hollow and empty. Over the next 3 days, I found myself joining Lucian and Andreas' old patrol, while Tamlin hunted the grounds for the bog. unseen by us. Despite an occasional bastard, Lucian didn't seem to mind my company. And he did most of the talking, which was fine. It left me to brood over the consequences of firing a single arrow. An arrow. I never fired a single one during those 3 days we rode along the border. That very morning I spied a red doe in the glen and aimed out of instinct. My arrow poised to fly right into her eye as Lucian snared. She was not a fairy, at least. But I stared at her, fat, healthy, and content. And then the slackened bow, replaced the arrow in my quiver, and let the doe wander on. I never saw Tamlin around the manor, off hunting the bog day and night, Lucian informed me, even at dinner. He spoke little before leaving early, off to continue his hunt, night after night. I didn't mind his absence. It was a relief, if anything. On the third night after my encounter with the puka, I scarcely sat down before Tamlin got up, giving an excuse about not wanting to waste hunting time. Lucian and I stared after him for a moment. What I could see of Lucian's face was pale and tight. You worry about him, I say. Lucian slumped in his seat, wholly undignified for a Feylord. Tamlin, he gets into moods. Moods? Moods. We're going to say moods, Lucian? That's the word you pick. Okay, yeah. He's got moods, all right. Sorry. Sorry. I'm a neutral party. He doesn't want your help hunting the bog. He prefers being alone. And having the bog in our land, I don't suppose you'd understand. The puka are mirrored enough not to bother him, but even after he shredded the bog, he'll brood over it. Oh, he's gonna fucking brood, all right, a little broody. And there's no one who can help him at all. Goddamn, give him... He would probably shed from... He would probably shred them from disobeying his orders to stay away. A brush of ice slithered across my nape. He would be that brutal? Lucian studied the wine in his goblet. You don't hold on to power by being everyone's friend. And among the fairies, lesser and high fae alike, a firm hand is needed. We're too powerful and too bored with immortality to be checked by anything else. It seemed like a cold, lonely position to have, especially when you didn't particularly want it. I wasn't sure why it bothered me so much. Because he's a bitch and you know it. You just don't see the red flag flying in the back. Sorry, he's a good dude. He's nice and pretty and he owns some land. And he's giving her all this stuff and you know what I mean. The snow was falling thick and merciless, already up to my knees as I pulled the bowstring back further and further until my arm trembled. Behind me a shadow lurked. No, watched. I didn't dare turn around to look, to see who might be within that shadow, observing, not as the wolf stared at me across the clearing, just staring, as if waiting, as if daring me to fire the ash arrow. No, no, I didn't want to. Not this time. Not again. Not. But I had no control over my fingers. Absolutely none. And he was still staring as I fired. One shot straight to that golden eye. A plume of blood splattered the snow. A thud of a heavy body in the sight of the wind. No, it wasn't a wolf that hit the snow. No, it was a man. A tall and well-formed. No, not a man. A high fae. Whose those pointed ears? I blinked, and then my hands were warm and sticky with blood. Then his body was red and skinless, steaming in the cold as if it was his skin that I held in my hands. And I threw myself awake, sweat slipping down my back, and forced myself to breathe, to open my eyes and note each detail of the night-dark bedroom. Real. This was real. I could still see that high fae male face down in the snow, my arrow through his eye, red and bloody all over from where I'd cut and peeled his skin. Files stung my throat. Not real, just a dream. Even if what I'd done to Andreas, even if as a wolf was. I scrubbed my face. Perhaps it was the quiet. the hollowness of the past few days. Perhaps it was only that I no longer had to think an hour to hour, had to keep my family alive, but it was regret and maybe shame. They coated my tongue, my bones. I shuddered as if I could fling it off and kick back the sheets, rise from the bed. Ooh, chapter 11. Alrighty, let's get a spinning. All right, here we go, here we go. Mood sounds like Lulu's gonna be the first day of, right? Absolutely. Hey, Game Jam Life, welcome, welcome. Welcome in. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, Reddit. Ooh, that's a good question. Do we think they gave her dreams that so she would feel guilty? That's, I mean, that's it. Possible, because I do think they're laying it on, but that would be that. Ooh. Do I think they gave her dreams? That's, I mean, possibly, yeah, because like she would know how Andreas looked. You know what I'm saying? So they would have had to fill that part in, unless she's just making a guess. Kind of give her a glam. That would also help their story about making her feel bad. Yeah. It's a good thing. Hey, what's up, Allie? Welcome. Stop by while. Okay. Hey, when are you actually leaving? I forgot. It's like soon, right? Like this weekend? I think it's this weekend. That's something we can look into, like if that's possible. It's possible that they did, but I don't I mean, it would fit the plan. That's a good question though. I'm not sure. We definitely have to look into that one. Tomorrow morning early. Well, if we don't see you and you bounce out of here and I don't get to say it, y'all have fun. Have a safe trip. Don't worry about us. If we get pictures, awesome. If you got to wait until the end, don't even think. Just you go have fun and enjoy y'all's time on your trip. Okay, seriously. Have fun and be safe. Good. That's awesome. Awesome. Ooh, DW, that is true. Yeah, she's having that. I mean, okay, now I'm not a brain analyst type of person, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that does the brain animalistic, stuff, but I've talked to a lot of people. Do you think that could be oh god, what do they call it? She's fuck nah. My brain has not been able to finish sentences today. Finish thoughts. There's a word for it. It's like survivor. It's almost like survivor syndrome is what I'm trying to say. Is she's having that because now that she knows like her family's taken care of, she's trying to relive through everything that she got here as her body's trying to make sure that it's real and what she went through is real and she's not survivor. Yeah, kind of like survivor guilt. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Try not to get your beach toys pulled in TSA. Pharaoh. Wow. Okay. But I like taking a look at that too. That'll be something to look at too when we talk about Pharaoh's mentality. later on. I mean, that's the first real time. That's the first sign of her showing um, signs of the trauma and how much it really got to her. You know what I mean? So that's cool. All right. I like that. I like that. All right. Chapter 12. We're making progress right along, even though we did get a late start. So I want to thank everybody for showing up. I know we got a late start, but life got in the way. All right. Here we go. Chapter 12. I couldn't entirely shake the gore of my dream as I walked down the dark halls of the manor, the servants and Lucian long since asleep. But I had to do something, anything after that nightmare, if only to avoid sleeping. A bit of paper in one hand, a pen gripped in the other, I carefully traced my steps, noting the windows and the door's exits, occasionally jotting down vague sketches and X's on parchment. It was the best I could do. And it was the best I could do, and to any illiterate human, my markings would have made sense. Hi. How you doing? Sorry, I like you in your robe. God damn it. Oh, okay. Excuse me. All right. Ooh. Any literate could mark my writings made no sense, but I couldn't write or read more than my basic letters. Can you even do that? I mean, can we even do basic letters? Favor, let's be honest with ourselves. And my makeshift map was better than nothing. If I were to remain here, it would essentially to know the best hiding places, the easiest ways things should ever go badly for me. I couldn't entirely let go of the instinct. It was too dim to admire any painting lines the wall, and I didn't dare risk a candle. These past 3 days there had been servants in the halls, and when I'd woke up the nerve to look at the art, and the part of me that spoke with Nesta's voice and laughed at the idea of an ignorant human trying to admire fairy art. Some other times, then, I told myself I would find another day, a quiet hour when no one was around. To look up at them, I had plenty of hours now, a whole lifetime in front of me. Perhaps I'd figured out what I'd wished to do with that. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Al, y'all are funny. We just love each other, believe it or not. We just actually like each other. It's pretty crazy. Like we married each other. I don't know, I married my best friend. I don't know. I see those videos. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all see those tiki-talkies where people like, I can't believe my, like, what? I were more of those videos like, hey, y'all, I married my best friend. Just saying. But anyway, okay, sorry, digress. And then we had babies. That was the crazy part. What? She had sex with me multiple times, y'all. Okay, sorry. Oh, thank you, Game Life. I appreciate that. All right. Where was I? Okay, sorry. 12. No one was around. Okay, hang on. I got at least two. They're twins. Nah, only the two. No, not only the 2 times. I mean, what's funny about that is we'll tell you is we tried 2 times and had 3 kids. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. We tried 2 times, had 3 kids. And then I went old Michael Scott. All right, I told myself I would find another day, a quiet hour when no one was around. To look at them and plenty of the hours now, my whole lifetime in front of me. Perhaps I would figure out what I wish to do with it. I crept down the main staircase, moonlight flooding in the black and white tiles of the entrance hall. I reached the bottom, my bare feet silent on the cold tiles, and listened. Nothing. No one. I set up my little map on the foyer table, and I drew a few X's and circles to signify the doors, the windows, the marble stairs, and the front hallway. I would become so familiar with the house that I could navigate it even if someone blinded me. A breeze announced his arrival, and I turned toward the table in the long hall to open the glass doors of the garden. I'd forgotten how huge he was in this form, forgotten the curled horn and the lupine face, the bear-like body that moved with feline fluidity. His green eyes glowed in the darkness, fixing on me as the door sneaked shut behind him. The clicking of the claws on the marble filled the hall. I stood still, daring not to flinch, to move a muscle. He limped slightly, and in the moonlight, dark, shining stains were left in his wake. He continued toward me, stealing the air from the hallway. He was so big, that's what she said, that the space felt cramped. Oh, Jonesy! Is Jonesy here? What's up, Jonesy? What up, brother? I appreciate you coming. Swanson, thank you for the finger hearts. Am I doing that right? There we go. Finger hearts. Finger hearts. I appreciate y'all stopping by, showing love and support, the gifts. Thank y'all so much. I really do appreciate y'all. So he was limping. He continued toward me, stealing the air from the entire room. He was so big that the space felt cramped like a cage. The scrape of a claw, a huff of uneven breathing, the dripping of blood. Between one step and the next, he changed forms, and I squeezed my eyes shut in a blinding flash. What's up, baby? I did it. I got the finger heart that right. Oh, thank you. It did. Hey, you know what? Anyway. Bye, I love you. Don't hyperventilate yourself. You're gonna get dizzy, and you're gonna make yourself all vaginal spinulosis. Yes. I'm sorry. You've only got a few days. Remember, we only get 10 days a year for you to not go. Use them wisely. Ah, but oh, that's funny. Wise spoils up my. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. He spoils us, gives us 3 nights in a row with his Jonesiness. Man is a legend. I'm telling you, anybody in my chat, if you don't follow Jonesy now, he's reading these books. I believe he's on Act of War, if I'm not mistaken. No, Mist and Fury, right? I believe he's still on Mist and Fury. I'm trying to catch up on all his videos. I believe he's on Mist and Fury still. Hilarious. Funniest mofo I've seen on here in a while. Oh yeah, we're glitching again. Yeah. He said, Mama, no. Ooh. I don't think Jonesy's had a full tour right now. I don't think Jonesy's ever had a full tour. I tell you what, if we can get through this chapter, we're going to give everybody here a full tour. Because we don't have much more, right? I don't have much more. No, we only got a few pages. If we can get through this chapter, we're going to do a full... The honeypots? Yeah, we'll do a tour. You know what? Hang on. We're going to do a quick tour right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's do the button tour. All right. First off, we've got the lovely... Ooh, wait. I can't do... Ooh. All right. Ooh. Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll do the honeypot. See, that's what I was thinking. He hasn't gone all the way there yet, so I don't want to. I think I can show him that one. I can show him this one. I can show that one. They're just people. No, I can't show him the animals. Unfortunately, I can't. The ending on that one. He's read Fourth Wing, right? Jonesy, you've read Fourth Wing, right? You've done Fourth Wing.
I'm Chode Barlow.
And I'm Jonas, and we have a song for you.
I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a fat little
I gotta add Tamlin to that button, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then you just won't know some of these characters, that's all. Nothing crazy, just know this spoilers. I just can't play. How do I jump into these? Trust me, Jonesy. All right, listen. Portals. The secret is portals. We just haven't figured it out yet. Okay, we just haven't figured it out yet. We're working on it. And it's portals. The answer is portals. I just don't know. It's portals. It's portals. But I think that is. Trust me, when I figure it out, I will make a tiki-talkie. That'll probably be my first tiki-talkie that goes viral. Let's be honest. How about this? Let's be honest. Have y'all seen that movie, The Long Walk? I would enter The Long Walk for a chance to be Manon's fucking like doormat. Okay? I'm just saying. I would enter the Long Walk competition to let Manon to be her doormat if Lady Liz would let me. I'm just saying. Who's with me? I'm just saying. For Cassian, I mean, okay, that's what I'm saying. Imagine that. Like, okay, I like it. Picasso, I like it. We are some feral mofos. I volunteer as tribute. Oh, that is hilarious. That really is. Oh, God. Where was I? Okay, I forgot where I was now. You know, that's the one problem when you go from a book to the Kindle back to a book. The book, there's so many more words on the pages. I forget where I was. Oh, okay. They're the announced. So, Jonesy, I do have more buttons, but some of them contain spoilers, and we don't want to do that here. So, once you get through Crescent City, oh my Lord, when you get to Crescent City, my good sir, I can't wait for that. I'm sorry. I'm going to digress. We're going to get back to this story. Oh, tiki-talkie, I am still here. I got to do a little puzzle piece. Same way, Sam. I'm having so much. I love reading the book. I used to only do the book, but now, like, after my Kindle with the black pages and the special font too that y'all got me on that one, I think, yeah, okay. DW, you did it, DW. I have to do it. I finally hit 4K. Hell yeah! Congratulations, brother! I am proud of you, proud for you. That's hard to do, especially in book talk, because it is a very saturated. It's very saturated. So seriously, that is epic. I'm proud, and your videos are fucking prime, my friend. They are so prime. I'm telling you, you're doing it the right way, my brother. You are doing it the right way. Sam, my husband, started reading the Kingdom of Ash. Hell yeah, Sam. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, let's get back to some story. All right, where was I? The breeze denounced him, moved a muscle, the cramps of the claw. He limped slightly, and in the moonlight dark, shining stains were left in his wake. He continued toward me, stealing air from the entire hallway. He was so big, that's what she said, the space felt cramped like a cage, the scrape of a claw, a huff, and uneven breathing, the dripping of blood. Between one step and the next, he changed forms, and I squeezed my eyes shut at the blinding flash. When my eyes adjusted to the returning darkness, he was standing in front of me, standing, but not quite there. No sign of the baldric, or his knives. His clothes were in shreds, long, vicious slashes that made me wonder how he'd gotten gutted. He wasn't gutted, or dead, but the muscle skin peeling out of beneath his shirt was smooth and unharmed. Did you kill the bog? My voice was hardly more than a whisper. Yes, a dull, empty answer, as if he could be bothered to remember to be pleasant. Because he's a chode. And if we were at the very bottom of a long list of priorities. You're hurt, I said even more quietly. Indeed, his hands is covered in blood, even more splattering on the floor beneath him. He looked at it blankly, as if he took some monumental effort to remember that he even had a hand that was injured. What the effort, will, and strength he had taken to kill the bog, to face the wretched menace. How deep he had to dig inside himself, to whatever immortal power and animal that lived there, to kill it. He glanced down at the map and the table. His voice was void of anything, any emotions, and any anger or amusement. That's what he said. What is this? I snatched up the mat. I thought I should learn my surroundings. Drip, drip, drip. I opened my mouth to point his hand again, but he said, You can't write, can you? I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. Ignorant, insufficient human. No wonder you became so adept at other things. That was your... I suppose he was so far thinking he was... You know, he pissed me off the first time I read this shit too. But I digress with the bog that hadn't realized the compliment he'd given me. If it was a compliment, another splatter of blood on the marble. Where can we clean up your hand? He lifted his head and looked at me, still silent and weary. Then he said, There's a small infirmary. I wanted to tell you myself that it was probably the most useful thing I'd learned all night, but as I followed him there, avoiding the blood that he trailed, I thought of Lucian had told me about his isolation, that burden. Though what Tamlin had mentioned about those estates should have not been his, and felt sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him. Oh my Lord. Okay, you don't think Tamlin was that bad? I mean, okay. The infirmary was well stocked, but was more of a supply closet with a workable than an actual place to hoist the sick fairies. I suppose that was all they needed, and then they could heal themselves from their mortal powers. But this wound, wasn't healing. No, I'm not mad. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil. And if I say something, I know I might go on one of my famous crash outs. And I don't want to go there and spoil things. Tamlin, listen, Tamlin is not the worst person we've ever run into. Okay. But again, I will say this again. He's just my first chode that I ran into. So he's got a special place of this chodiness. And you know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm going to say. He's not the worst. But listen, he is a cardboard tampon applicator at minimum, okay? He's rough. He's painfully scratchy. So I hear, I don't know. There's worse, but since he's the first, he's the worst adjacent. Can I say that? How about that? He's the worst adjacent. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? He's definitely a cut, right? Right? He set the standard. Exactly. He is the standard bearer of chodes. Unfortunately. Can he redeem? Is he irredeemable? No. I will say that. He can be redeemed. Will he ever get his? I'm just going to keep reading because that's what we do. All righty then. Okay, so where was I again? I think I just turned the page. I felt sorry for him. The infirmary was stocked, yep. But it was more of a supply closet with workable table than an actual place to host sick fairies. I suppose that was all they needed when they could heal themselves with their immortal powers. But this wound wasn't healing. Talon slumped against the edge of the table, gripping his injured hand at the wrist as he watched me sort through the supplies in the cabinets and drawers. When I gathered what I needed, I tried not to bark at the thought of touching him, but I didn't let myself give in to the dreads as I looked at his hand, the heat of his skin like an inferno against my cold fingers. I cleaned off his bloody, dirty hand, bracing for the first flash of his claws, but his claws remained retracted, and he kept silent as I bounded and wrapped his hands. Surprisingly enough, there were no more than a few vicious cuts, none of them requiring stitches. I secured the bandage in place, and stepped away, bringing the bowl of bloody water to the deep sink in the back of the room. His eyes were to brand upon me as I finished cleaning the room and became too small, too hot. He killed the bog and walked away relatively unscathed. If Tamlin was that powerful, then the High Lords of Prythian must be nearly gods. I know one that's a god for sure. Every mortal instinct in my body pleaded in panic and thought. I was almost at the open door, stifling the urge to bolt back to my room when he said, "You can't write, yet you learn to hunt, to survive." How? Because she's fucking not helpless all the time. I mean, what do you mean, how? This is why I hate him sometimes. I paused with my foot at the threshold. This is what happens when you're responsible for the lives of others than yours, isn't it? You do what you have to do. I mean, all right, I'm sorry. I'm let it go, Wise. Let it go. Let it go. He was still sitting at the table, still straddling the inner thinner line between there and now and wherever he had to go in his mind to endure the fight with the bog. I met his feral and growing stare. You aren't what I expected for a human. He said. I didn't reply, and he didn't say goodbye as I walked out. Listen, I think, you know why I think it's so hard for me to deal with fucking Tamlin's ass? Because when he says shit like that, I just see him saying that shit to one of my kids and I almost smack him across the face. I swear to God. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because I'm a girl dad and I got 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe. I'm sorry. Anywho. The next morning, as I made my way down the grand staircase, I tried not to think too much of the clean washed marble tiles of the floor below. No signs of the blood Tamlin had lost. I tried not to think too much about our encounter, actually. When I found the front hall empty, I almost smiled. Felt a ripple in the hollow emptiness that I had hollowing me out. Perhaps now, perhaps in this moment of quiet, I could at least look through the art of the walls, take time to observe it, learn it, admire it, heart racing at the thought. I was about to head toward the hall and I had noted was nearly recovered in painting, after painting when low male voices floated from the dining room. I paused. The voices were tense that I made out my silent step as I slid into the shadows behind the open door. A cowardly, wretched thing to do, but what they were saying had me shoving aside any guilt. I just want to know what you were doing. It was Lucian. That familiar, lazy, viciousness coded each word. What are you doing? Tamlin snapped. Through the small spaces of the hinged door, I could glimpse the two of them standing almost face to face. On Tamlin's non-bandaged hand, his claws shone in the morning light. Me? Lucian put his hand on his chest. By the cauldron, Tam. There isn't much time, and you're just sulking and glowing? Glowering? You're not even trying to fake it anymore. My brow rose. Tamlin turned away by whirling back a moment later, his teeth bared. It was a mistake from the start. I can't stomach it. Not after what my father did to their kind, to their land. I won't follow in his footsteps. I won't be that sort of person. So back off. Ugh. Back off. Back off while you seal our fates so and ruin everything. I stayed with you out of hope, not to watch you stumble. For someone with a heart as stone, you're certainly as soft these days. The bog was on our land. The bog, Tamlin! The barriers between the courts have vanished. Even our woods are teeming with filth like the puka. Are you going to just start living out there, slaughtering every bit of vermin that sinks in? Watch your mouth, Tamlin said. Lucian stepped toward him, exposing his teeth as well. A pulsing kind of air hit me in the stomach. A metallic stench filled my nose. But I didn't see any magic. I only feel it. Ooh, I couldn't tell if it made it worse. Don't push me, Lucian. Tamlin's tone became dangerously quiet, and the hair on the back of my neck stood as emitting the glow that was pure animal. You don't think I know what's happening on my own lands? What I've got to lose? What I've already lost? The blight. Perhaps it was contained, but it seemed it was still wreaking havoc, still a threat, and perhaps one they were truly didn't want knowing about. Either the lack of trust, or because I was no one and nothing to them. I leaned forward, but as I did, my fingers slipped and softly thudded against the door. A human might not have heard. Both high fae and world, my heart stumbled. I stepped towards the threshold, clearing my throat as I came up with a dozen excuses to shield myself. I looked at Lucian and forced myself to smile. His eyes widened, and I had wondered if it was because of that smile or because I looked truly guilty. Are you going for a ride? I said, feeling a bit sick as I gestured behind my thumb. I hadn't planned on riding with him today, but it sounded like a decent excuse. Lucian's russet eye was bright, and though the smile he gave didn't meet it, the faces of Tamlin's emissary, more court-trained and calculating than I had seen him yet. I'm unavailable today, he said. He jerked his chin to Tamlin. He'll go with you. Tamlin shot his friend a look of disdain that took a few pains to hide. His usual barrack is armed with more knives than I'd seen before, and their ornate metal handles glinted as he turned to me, his shoulder tight. Whenever you want to go, just say so, the claws of his free hand slipping back under his skin. No, I almost said out loud as I turned pleading to Lucian. Lucian merely patted my shoulder as he passed by. Perhaps tomorrow, human. Alone with Tamlin, I swallowed hard. You will later. He stood there waiting. I don't want to go for a hunt, I finally said quietly. True. I hate hunting. He cocked his head. Then what do you want to do? Tamlin led me down the hall, a soft breeze laced with the scent of roses slipping through the open windows to caress my face. You've been going for hunts, Tamlin said at last, but you really don't have any interest in hunting. He cast me a sidelong glance. No wonder you two never catch anything. No trace of the hollow, cold warrior from the night before, or the angry fey noble of minutes before. Just Tamlin right now, it seemed. Just Tamlin. I'd be a fool to let my guard down around Tamlin, to think his acting naturally meant anything, especially when something was so clearly amiss at his estate. He'd taken down the bog, and that made him the most dangerous creature I'd ever encountered. I didn't quite know what to make of him, and said somewhat stiltedly, how's your hand? He flexed the bandaged hand, studying the white lines stark and clean against his sun-kissed skin. I didn't thank you. You didn't need to. But he shook his head. His golden hair caught and held the morning light as if it were spun of the sun itself. The bog's bite was crafted to slow the healing of Fae long enough to kill us. You have my gratitude. When I shrugged it off, he added, how did you learn to bind the wound like this? I can still use the hand, even with the wrapping. Trial and error. I had to be able to pull a bowstring the next day. He was quiet as he turned down another sun-drenched marble hallway, and I dared look at him. I found him carefully studying me, his lips in a thin line. Had anyone ever taken care of you? He asked quietly. No. I said, excuse me. No. I'd long since stopped feeling sorry for myself about it. Did you learn to hunt in a similar manner? Trial and error? I spied on hunters when I could get away with it, and then practiced until I hit something. When I missed, we didn't eat. So I learned aim was the first thing I figured out. I'm curious, he said casually. The amber in his eyes was glowing. Perhaps not all traces of the beast warrior were gone. Are you ever going to use that knife you stole from my table? I stiffened. How did you know? Beneath the mask, I could have sworn his brows were raised. I was trained to notice things, but I could smell the fear on you more than anything. I grumbled. I thought no one noticed. He gave me a crooked smile. More genuine than all the fake smiles and flattery he had given me before. Regardless of the treaty, if you want to stand a chance at escaping my kind, you'll need to think more creatively than stealing dinner knives. But with an affinity of eavesdropping, maybe you'll someday learn something of value. My ears flared with heat. I wasn't... Sorry, I mumbled. But I ran through what I'd overheard. There was no point in pretending I hadn't eavesdropped. Lucian said you didn't have much time. What did he mean? Are more creatures like the bog going to come here thanks to the blight? Tamlin went rigid. Scanning the halls around us, taking in every sight and the sound. Then he shrugged off the stiff in June. I am immortal. I have nothing but time, Thera. I see you, Em. Oh, eavesdrop and learn? That's what we're talking about? I got you. He said my name with such intimacy, as if he weren't a creature capable of killing monsters made from my nightmares. I opened my mouth to demand more of an answer, but he cut me off. The force plaguing our lands and powers that, too, will pass someday. If we're cauldron blessed. But yes, now that the bog entered these lands, I'd say it's fair to assume others might follow it, especially if the puka was already so old. If the border between our courts were gone, though, as I'd heard Lucian say, if everything in Prythian was different, as Tamlin had claimed, thanks to this blight, well, I didn't want to be caught up in some brutal war or revolution. I doubted I'd survive that long. Tamlin strode along and opened a set of double doors at the end of the hall. The powerful muscles of his back shifted beneath his clothes. I'd never forget what he was capable of, being a chode, but what he'd been trained to do, apparently. As requested, he said, the study. I saw what lay beyond him, and my stomach twisted. Wow, my lord, right? What the fuck? So, Em, you like the eavesdropping? Is that what you're saying? Are you just saying like mark that? Or are you saying like mark, I got my mark? Or are we just saying mark? Like, what are you talking about? Hey, M.A., what's up, girl? How you doing? I hope everything is well in your neck of the woods. Oh, 100%. He learns all this and he still underestimates her. 100%. You can, if I had a sign, it would say fucking facts. Like, give yourself a point for that one. Because 100%. 100%. He learned all this stuff, figured it out, and he still underestimates the living shit out of her and does it. 100%. 100%. We're doing pretty good down here. It's hot as hell. I'll tell you what. It's hot as fucking balls down here. Oh, we got to do a wheel spin really quick. Sorry, I forgot a wheel spin. It's hot as balls in Texas, and we ain't getting rain for like at least another 10 days. It's so hot. My grass is dead. My grass is literally DED dead because I won't spend $300 on the water bill. I'm like, you get 150. That's it. That's it. It's dead, but that's okay. Because we got, what do we got coming in? Book of Az. Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks. Yeah. This is one bad thing I'll say about Texas. One bad thing about Texas is August weather is hot as balls. It is hot, hot, hot. When I was in the pickup line to pick up the mini list, it was 103 at 4 o'clock. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. It's hot as balls. It's hot as balls. It is hot as balls. Felt like it's been 110 here. Woo, I bet. She's like, it's getting colder in Sweden. Oh, man. Oh, sweet. They're like, oh, hell no. See, September for us, September, it'll start cooling down. Middle of September, October, November are amazing. December's great. January, February suck here. They're really icy and sleety. And then March, April, May, June are great. And July and August suck. Oof. Oof. Sweden was fun. I've spent a little bit of time in Sweden. I spent a little bit of time, not much. All right, let's get into it. Chapter 13. All right. Tamlin waved his hand and 100 candles sprang to life. Whatever Lucian had said about magic drained and off-kiltered thanks to the blight clearly hadn't affected Tamlin as dramatically. And perhaps he'd been so far more powerful to start, if he could transform his sentries into wolves whenever he pleased. The tang of magic stunned my senses, but I kept my chin high. That is, until I peered inside. Wait, Leah, are you you're in Sweden right now? Wait, are you in like legit right now? What part of Sweden? I'm sorry. That's so cool. Oh, we need rain too down here, yeah. Texas is that's why we stay inside so much. That's why we stay inside so much in the summer, or we go to the pool. I'm just saying, you get used to it. You'll get used to it. And you're going to have to come here to live on the compound anyway, so it'll be okay. I mean, my palms began sweating as I took in the enormous optical study. Tomes lined each wall like the soldiers of a silent army, and couches and desks and rich rugs were scattered through the room. But it had been over a week since I left my family. Though my father had said never to return, though my vow to my mother was fulfilled, I could at least let them know I was safe. I mean, if I'm paying for it, I'm just saying. And warn them about this sickiness if I can afford one. Cheaper land out here. Less state taxes. Easier to build permits. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. The father never let to return, though my vow to my mother was fulfilled. I could at least let them know I was safe. Relatively safe. And warn them about the sickness sweeping Cothprinthia that might someday soon cross the wall. There was only one method to convey it. Do you need anything else? Tamlin asked as I jerked. He stood behind me. No, I said, striding into the study. I couldn't think about the casual power he'd just shown, the graceful carelessness with which he'd brought so many flames to life. I had to focus on the task at hand. It wasn't entirely my fault that I was scarcely able to read. Before our downfall, my mother had sorely neglected our education, not bothering to hire a governess. After poverty struck and my elder sisters, who could read and write, deemed the village schools beneath us, they didn't bother to teach me. See, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. I could read enough to function, enough to form my letters, but so poorly that even signing my name was mortifying. It was bad enough that Tamlin knew. I would think I had to get the letter to them, and then once I finished, perhaps I could beg a favor of him or Lucian. Asking them to write it would be humiliating. I could hear that word. Typical, ignorant, human. And since Lucian seemed convinced that I would turn into a spy the moment I could, he would no doubt burn the letter, and any I tried to write after that. So if I have to learn myself, I'll leave you to it then, Tamlin said as our silence became prolonged, too tense. I didn't move until he closed the door, shutting me inside. My heart pulsed throughout my body as I approached a shelf. I had to take a break from dinner and to sleep, but I was back in the study before the dawn had fully risen. I found a small writing desk in the corner and gathered papers and ink. My finger traced the line of text, and I whispered the words. She grabbed her shoes, standing from her paw. I sat back in my chair as I pressed the heels of my palms into my eyes. When I felt less near ripping out my hair, I took the quill and underlining the word position. With shaking hand, I did my best to copy letter after letter onto the ever-growing list I kept beside the book. There were at least 40 words on there. The letters malformed and barely legible. That would look like they were punctuations later. I rose from the chair, needing to stretch my legs, my spine, or just get away from the lengthy list of words I didn't know how to pronounce, and that permanent heat that now warmed my face and neck. I suppose the study was more of a library, as if I couldn't see any of the walls thanks to the small labyrinth of stacking flanking the main area and the mezzanine dangling above, covered to wall in books, but studied soundless and less intimidating. I meandered through some of the stacks, following a trickle of sunlight to the bank of windows on the far side. I found myself overlooking a rose garden filling a dozen hues of crimson and pink and white and yellow. I might have allowed myself a moment to take in the colors, gleaming with the dew under the morning sun. I did not glimpse the painting that stretched along the wall besides the windows. Not a painting, I thought, blinking as I stepped back to view his massive expanse. No, it was... I searched for the word in the half-gotten part of my mind. Mural. That was it. At first, I could do nothing but stare at its size, at the ambition of it. The fact that the masterpiece was tucked back here for no one to ever see, as if it was nothing. Absolutely nothing to create something like this. I told a story with the way the colors and the shapes and light flowed, with the way that the tone shifted across the mural. The story of Prythian. It began with the cauldron. A mighty black cauldron held by the glowing, slender female hands in a starry, endless night. All right. Female hands, a mighty black cauldron in a female hands. A mighty black cauldron and some female hands. All right, a mighty black cauldron held in slender female hands in a starry, endless night. Those hands tipped over the golden, sparkling liquid pouring over the lip. No, not sparkling, but effervescent, with small symbols, perhaps some ancient Fey language. Whatever was written there, whatever it was, the contents of the cauldron were dumped into the void below, pulling on the earth to form our world. I'm with you there, DW. We're on... Our Braves are Lincoln again. That's what I'm possibly thinking. I'm possibly thinking that's where we're at there, too. The map spanning the entirety of our world, not just the lands on which we stood, but the seas and larger continents beyond. Each territory was marked and colored with some intricate, ornate description of beings who had once ruled over the lands that now belong to humans. All of it. I remembered with a shudder all of the world that had once been theirs, at least as far as they believed, crafted by them for the bearer of the cauldron. There was no mention of humans, no sign of us there. I supposed we'd been as low as pigeons to them, probably lower. It was hard to look at the next panel, where it was simple, yet so detailed for that moment, detailed that for a moment I stood there on the battlefield, fixturing the texture of the bloodied mud beneath me, shoulder to shoulder with thousands of other humans, shoulder to shoulder with thousands of other human soldiers lined up, facing the fairy hordes who charged at us. A moment of pause before the slaughter. The human arrows and swords seemed pointless against the high fae in their glimmering armor, and the fairies blistered with the claws and the fangs. I knew! I fucking know! I knew without another panel of the explicit show me. The humans didn't survive the particular battle. The smear on the black of the panel beside it, a tangling of glimmer of red said enough. Then another map. A much reduced fairy realm. Northern territories had been cut up and divided to make room for the High Fae who had lost their lands to the south of the wall. Everything north of the wall went to them. Everything south of the wall was left at a blur of nothing. A decimated, forgotten world. As if the painter couldn't be bothered to render it. I scanned the various lands and territories now given the High Fae. Still so much territory, such monstrous power across the entire northern part of the world. I knew they were ruled by the kings and queens and councils or empresses, but I'd never seen a representation of it. How much they'd been forced to concede to the south and how crammed their lands are now in comparison. Our massive land had fared well for Perinthian by comparison. With only the bottom tip, only the tip, was given over to us miserable humans. Well, humans can only handle some of the tips. The bulk of the sacrifice was born in the southernmost of the 7 territories. The territory painted with caucasus and lambs and roses and springlands. I took a step closer until I could see the dark, ugly smear that acted as a wall, another spiteful touch by the painter. No markers in the human realm, nothing to indicate that the larger towns are the center. But I found a rough area where our village was, the woods that separated it from the wall. Those 2 days' journey seemed so small, too small, compared to the power lurking above us. I traced a line, my finger hovering over the paint, up over the wall, into these lands, the lands of the spring court. Again, no markings, but it was filled with touches of spring, trees in the bloom, fickling storms, young animals. At least I was to live my days out in one of the more moderate courts, weather-wise, a small consolation. I looked northward and stepped back again. The 6 other courts in Perinthian occupied a patchwork of territories. Autumn, summer, all right. The winter court, not too bad, were easy to pick out. Then above them, 2 glowing courts. The southern one, a softer, redder palette. The dawn court. And above the bright gold and yellow and blue, the day court. And above that, perched in the frozen mountainous spreads of the darkness and stars, the sprawling mass of territory of the night court. There were things in the shadows between those mountains, little eyes, gleaming teeth, a land of lethal beauty. The hair on my arms rose. I might have examined the other kingdoms across the seas that flanked our lands, like the isolated fairy kingdom to the west that seemed to have gotten away with no territory loss. It was still law upon to itself. And I not looked at the heart of the beautiful living map, in the center of the land, as if it were the core of which everything else had spread, or perhaps the place where the cauldron's liquid had first touched was a small, snowy mountain ridge. From it arose a mammoth solitary peak, bald of snow, bald of life, as if the elements refused to touch it. There were no more clues to what it might be, nothing to indicate its importance, and I suppose that the views were already supposed to know. This was not a mural for human eyes. With that thought, I went back to my little table. At least I'd learned the layout of the lands. I knew I'd never go north. I eased into my seat and found my place in my book, my face warming as I glanced at illustrations scattered throughout, a children's book. And yet I could scarcely make through 20 pages or so. Damn, she was worse than me, y'all. I'm just saying, she's way worse than me. Wow. Why did Tamlin have the children's book in his library? Because that's really all Tamlin's mind can handle. Where were they? His own childhood or any anticipation of children to come? It didn't matter. I couldn't even read them. I hated the smell of these books, the decaying rot of pages, the mocking whisper of the paper, the rough skin of the binding. I looked at a piece of paper. All those words I didn't know. I kind of feel her on this one. I bunched my list in my hand, crumbling the paper into a ball, and chucked it into the rubbish bin. I could help you write them, if that's why you're here. I jerked back to my seat, almost knocking over the chair. I whirled to find Tamlin behind me. A stack of bodies. Are you about to cat butt? No! You're cat butting. No. Girlfriend. Girlfriend. Girl. Hey, yep. Only pause. Hey, y'all better be, you better be that button right there, y'all. She's giving you a show. She's putting on a show. She's putting on a show. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, where were we? Distraction. I know as soon as I start reading, she's going to do this again. She's going to do it again. All right, here we go. Where was I? And Tamlin was behind her, right? No, she threw it in the rubbish bin. I could help you write that if you want, if that's why you're in here. Hey, Bobby Lee, what's up? What's up? I jerked back in my seat, almost knocking over the chair, whirling back. Help. You mean a fairy is passing up the opportunity to mock an ignorant mortal? He set the book down on the table, his jaw tight. I couldn't read the tiles glinting on their spines. Why should I mock you for a shortcoming that isn't your fault? That's the first manly thing you've said there, fucking Tam. Let me help you. I owe you for the hand. A shortcoming. It was a shortcoming. So is he wild? I have her. I remember I've got half that cover blocked out. She is just chilling there right there. There. That's wild. That's funny. So, you got no head. You got no head, Toe. You got no head. All right. Back to where we were. Sorry. Day chord, night chord. I keep doing that again. Help. Okay. He set the book down on the table, his jaw tight. I couldn't read the tiles glinting on the leather spine. Why should I mock you for a shortcoming? Shortcoming? It was a shortcoming. Yet it was one thing to bandage his hand, to talk to him as if he wasn't a predator built to kill and destroy. Built to reveal how little I truly knew. To let him see that part of me that was still a child, unfinished and raw. His face was unreadable, though there had been no pity in his voice. Straighten. I'm fine. Thank you. I've got nothing better to do with my time than come up with elaborate ways to humiliate you. I thought that of a sneer of nothing in the painter and then used the rendering the human lands and didn't have an answer. At least, not that was polite. I'd given you enough already to him. To them. To him. Tamlin shook his head. So you'll let Lucian take you on hunts and... Lucian? I interrupted quickly, but softly. Doesn't pretend to be anything but what he is. What's that supposed to mean? He growled, but his claws stayed retracted, even as he clenched his hands into fists at his sides. I was definitely walking a dangerous line, but I didn't care. Even if he offered me sanctuary, I didn't have to fall at his feet. It means I said with the same cold quiet that I didn't know. I didn't know who you are, or what you really are, or what you want. It means you don't trust me. How can I trust a fairy? Don't you delight in killing and tricking us? His snarl set flames in the candles guttering. You aren't what I had in mind for a human. Believe me. Good night. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and your input on the questions. And, oh, I'm sorry, Toe. In the stuff and pointing out the stuff. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. Hopefully we will get to see you again soon. Okay, I love you, but you're killing me, Mama. You're killing me. I don't know if you're going to cat butt. You know what I'm saying? All right. Goodbye now. All right. For human, believe me. I could almost feel the wound deep in my chest as it ripped open and those awful silent words came pouring out. Illiterate, ignorant, unremarkable, proud, cold, all spoken from Nesta's mouth, all echoing in my head with the sneering voice. I pinched my lips together and it winced as I lifted my hand, as if to reach out for me. Feyre, he began. Softly enough that I just shook my head and left the room. He didn't stop me. But that afternoon, when I went to retrieve my crumpled list from the wastebasket, it was gone, and my pile of books had been disturbed. The tiles out of order. It had probably been a servant. I assured myself, calming the tidiness in my chest. Just Alice, or some other bird-masked fairy cleaning up. Ooh, wait a second. I went to retrieve my book. Okay, maybe. All right. I hadn't written anything incriminating. There were no ways he would know I'd been trying to warn my family. I doubt he would punish me for it, but our conversation earlier had been bad enough. Still, my hands were unsteady as I took a seat at the desk and found my place in the book I'd used that morning. I knew it was shameful to mark the book with the ink, but Tamlin could afford gold plates. He could replace a book or two. I stared at the book without seeing the jumble of letters, maybe a fool for not accepting his help, for not swallowing my pride and having him write the letter in a few moments. Not even a letter of warning, but just to let them know I was safe. If he had better things to do with his time than come up with ways to embarrass me, then surely he had better things to do than help me write letters for my family. And yet he offered. And nearly clock chimed the hour. Shortcoming, another one of my shortcomings. I rubbed my brows with my thumbs and forefingers. I'd been quietly foolish for feeling a shred of pity of him, for a lone, brooding fairy, for someone I had felt stupidly, that I thought really cared, and I met someone who perhaps felt the same, perhaps understood my ignorant, insufficient human ways, what it is like to bear the weight of caring for others. I should have let his hand bleed that night. I shouldn't have known to think maybe there would be someone, human or fairy or whatever, who could understand my life, what I had become these past few years. A minute passed, then another. Fairies might not be able to lie, but they could certainly withhold information. Tamlin, Lucian, Alice had done their best to not answer my specific questions, knowing more about the blight that threatened them, knowing anything about it, where it had come from, what else it could do, and especially what it could do to a human, was worth my time to learn. And if there was a chance they might also possess some knowledge about a forgotten loophole to that damn treaty, if they knew some way to pay the debt I owed and return to my family so I might warn them about the blight myself, I had to risk it. 20 minutes later, I had tracked down Lucian in his bedroom and marked up my little map of where I was, the separate wing of the second level, far from mine. After searching his usual haunts, it was the last place I looked. I knocked on the white-painted double doors. Come in, human. He could probably detect me by my breathing pattern alone. Or maybe that eye of his could see through the door. I opened the door. The room was similar to mine in shape, but beckoned of hues of orange and red and gold, with faint traces of green and brown, like being in an autumn wood. But while my room was the softness and gaze and the mark and ruggedness in lieu of the pretty breakfast table by the window, a worn work table dominated the space covered in various weapons. It was there he sat, wearing only a white shirt and trouser, his red hair unbound and gleaming like liquid fire. Tamlin's court-trained emissary, but a warrior in his own right. I haven't seen you around, I said, shouting at the door and leaning against it. I had to go sort out some hotheads in the northern borders. Official emissary business, he said, setting down the hunting knife he'd been cleaning, a long, vicious blade. I got back in time to hear your little spat with Tam and decided it was safer up here. I'm glad to hear your human heart is warmed up to me, though. At least I'm not on top of your kill list. I gave him a long look. Well, he went on, struggling. It seems that you managed to get under Tam's fur, that he sought me out and nearly bit my head off. I suppose I can thank you for ruining what should have been a peaceful lunch. Thankfully for me, there's been some disturbance in the western forest, and my poor friend had to go deal with it the only way he can. I'm surprised you didn't run into him on the stairs. Thank the forgotten gods for some small mercies. What sort of disturbance? Lucian shrugged. But the moment was too tense and careless. The usual sorts, unwanted nasty creatures raising hell. Good, that Tamlin was away, and wouldn't be here to catch me in what I planned to do. Another bit of luck. I'm impressed, you know. I'm impressed you answered me that much. I said as casually as I could, thinking through my words. But it's too bad you're not like the surreal, spouting the information if I'm clever enough to snare you. Wait, did I miss something? Did I skip a page? Am I skipping a page? I don't think I skipped a page. No, I didn't skip a page. She just okay. I thought I was skipping a page. Tamlin, want to hear? I impressed you with answering that much, but it's too bad you're not like the surreal, spouting information if I'm clever enough to snare you. For a moment he blinked at me, then his mouth twisted aside, that metal eye whizzed in near me. I suppose you won't tell me what you want to know. You have your secrets? I have mine, I said carefully. I couldn't tell whether I wanted to convince me otherwise if I told him the truth. But if you were a surreal, I added with a deliberate slowness in the case he hadn't caught the meaning, how exactly would I trap you? Lucian set down his knife and picked at his nails. For a moment I wondered if he would tell me anything at all, wondering if he would go right to Tamlin and tattle. But then he said, I would probably have a weakness for groves of young birch trees in the western woods, freshly slaughtered chickens. He likes chicken nuggies, and would probably be so greedy that I wouldn't notice a double loop snare rigged around the grove to pin my legs in place. I didn't dare ask why he decided to be accommodating. There was still a chance he wouldn't mind seeing me dead, but I wouldn't risk it. I'd somehow prefer you as a high fae. He smirked, but the amusement was short-lived. If I were insane and just stupid enough to go after a surreal, I'd also take a bow and quiver and maybe a knife just like this one. He sheathed the knife he cleaned and set it down on the edge of the table, an offering, and I'd be prepared to run like hell when I freed it to the nearest running water. They hate crossing. But you're not insane, so you're here, safe and sound. I'll be convincingly hunting on the grounds with my superior hearing. I might be feeling generous enough to listen if someone screams from the western woods. But it's a good thing I had no role in telling you to go out today, since Tam would eviscerate anyone who told you how to trap a surreal. And it's a good thing I had planned to hunt anyway, because if anyone caught helping you, there would be trouble and a whole other hell awaiting us. I hope your secrets are worth it, he said with his usual grin. But there was an edge to it, a warning. I didn't miss it. Another riddle. And another bit of information, I said. It's a good thing that while you have superior hearing, I suppose superior abilities to keep your mouth shut. He snorted as I took the knife from the table and turned to procure the bow from my room. I think I'm starting to like you for a murderous human. What? What? Oh, Lucian. Oh, Lucian. Yo, he rubbing it. I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna calm down. Not gonna say it. Lucian, you're being a chode. You know, What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Oh, Poison Empress. Oh, the Poet Empress. I'm sorry. The Poet Empress.
I've always liked to play. I've always liked to work down.
That's the first night for this one. It's at 19 right now. Yeah, it's at 19. Give it to the one with the least votes. Then that defeats the purpose of the wheel giving votes if we just change it out. You knucklehead. That makes no sense. All right. All right. Chapter 14. I know we got a late start, but I still want to try to get third. Okay, I think we might be able to finish out still. Should we make new rules? Listen. Okay, listen. First off, this is being recorded. I just want you to know. All right, so all I'm going to say is this. If you say that and it's landing on that book, which is one that P likes, you're going to be arguing with P because she wants that book. And you take any votes from books that she... you playing with fire, Ricky Bobby. You playing with fire, Ricky Bobby. DW's like, anarchy! Anarchy! All right. All right. Western woods, groves of young birch trees, slaughtered chickens, doubled snare loop, close to running water. I repeated Lucian's instructions as I walked out of the manor through the cultivated gardens across the wind, rolling grassy hills beyond them. over clear streams and into the woods. Over the rivers and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Into the springs beyond the woods. No one had stopped me. No one had been around to see me leave. Oh, they'd been around to see you. All right, let me tell you. No one had stopped me. No one had been around to leave the bow and satchel across my back. Lucian's knife at my side. I lugged a satchel stuffed with freshly dead chicken courtesy of a baffled kitchen staff, and I had tucked an extra blade into my boot. The lands were as empty as the manor itself, though I occasionally glimpsed something shining in the corner of my eye. Every time I turned to look, the shimmering transformed into a sunlight dancing in nearby steam. The wind flittering with leaves into the lone sycamore atop a knoll. As I passed a large pond nestled in the foot of the towering hill, I could have sworn I saw 4 shining female heads poking up from the bright water watching me. I hurried a step. Only bird. Ooh, what 4 females? Are those the water nymphs, I wonder? Only the birds and the chattering and the rustling of the small animals sounded as I entered the still green western forest. I never ridden through those woods on my hunts with Lucian. There was no path here, nothing to tame it. Oaks, elms, beeches entwined in a thick weave, almost staggering in the trickling of sunlight that crept through the dense canopy. The moss-covered earth swallowed any sound I made. Old, this forest was ancient and alive in a way that I couldn't describe, but I could feel deep in the marrow of my bones. Perhaps I was the first human in 500 years to walk beneath those heavy, dark branches and inhale the freshness of spring leaves masking the damp, thick rot, birch trees, running water. I made my way through the woods. Oh. Where we are? I ran my way through the woods, breathed tight in my throat. Tonight was a dangerous time. I reminded myself I only had a few hours until sunset. Even the bog had stalked us in the daylight. The bog was dead, and however horrors Tamlin was now dealing with dwell in another part of these lands. The spring court. I wondered in the ways that Tamlin had answered to the high court, or if it was the high lord who had carved out Lucian's eye. Maybe it was the high lord's consort when she, whom Lucian had mentioned, instilled such fear in them. Okay, we got a first mention. Yeah. Okay, that's another pop there. All right, that whore. Sorry. I kept my steps light and eyes open. My heart beat steady. Shortcomings, I could still hunt, and the answers I needed were worth it. I found a glen of young, skinny birch trees and then stalked in the ever-widening circles, and I encountered the nearest stream. Not deep, but so wide that I have taken a running leap across it. Lucian had said finding the running water. This was close enough to make an escape possible. If I need to escape, hopefully I wouldn't. I traced and retracted several different routes to the stream, and a few alternate routes, should my access to somehow be blocked. And I was sure of every root and rock and hollow in the surroundings of the area. I returned to the small clearing, encircled by those white trees, and laid my snare. From my spot at the nearby tree, I studied a dense oak whose vibrant leaves held me entirely from anyone below. Hid me entirely from anyone below. I waited and waited. The afternoon sun crept over, hot enough that even though the canopy and I had shrugged off my cloak and rolled up the sleeves of my tunic, my stomach grumbled. I pulled a hunk of cheese out of my rucksack, eating it in quieter than an apple. I also swiped the kitchen on the way out. When I finished it off, I swigged water from my canteen I brought, parched from the heat. Did Tamlin or Lucian ever go tired day after day of eternal spring? Or ever venture into other territories, if only to experience a different season? I wouldn't have minded the endless mild spring while looking after my family. Winter brought us dangerously close to death every year. But if I were immortal, I might want a little variety to pass the time. I probably want to do more than lurk about the manor house too, though I still hadn't worked up the nerve to make a request to creep back to the back of my mind when I saw the mural. I moved about as much as I dared on the branch, only to keep my blood flowing in my limbs. I just settled again, and a ripple of silence came toward me, as if the woods threshing the squirrels and the moss held their breath while something passed by. My bow was already strung. Quietly, I loosely knocked an arrow. Closer and closer, the silence crept. The trees seemed to lean in, their entwined branches locking together, a living cage keeping an even smallest bird from soaring out of the canopy. Maybe this had been a very bad idea, Maybe Lucian had overestimated my abilities, or maybe I had been waiting for a chance to leave my dome. My muscles stayed holding atop the birch, but I kept my balance and listened. Then I heard it, a whisper, as if the clothes were dragging over the root and stone, hungrily wheezing, sniffing from the nearby clearing. I laid my snares carefully, making the chicken look as if it had wandered too far, and snapped its own neck and sawed its free from the fallen branch. I had taken care to keep my own scent off the bird as much as possible. But these fairies had such keens, and even though I covered my tracks, there was a snap and a whoosh, whoosh, a hollowed out wicked scream that made my bones and muscles and breath lock up. Another enraged shriek pierced the forest, and my snares groaned as they held and held and held. I climbed out of the tree and went to meet the surreal. Lucian, I decided as I crept up, the fairy in the birch glen really, truly wanted me dead. I hadn't known what to expect. I expected the ringing white trees, tall and straightened pillars, but it was not tall, thin, veiled figure, the dark, tattered robed, its hunched back facing me. I could count the large knobs of spines poking through the thin fabric. Spindly, scabby gray arms crawled at the snare with yellow cracked fingernails. Run. Some primal, instinctual human part of me whispered, begged, run, run, and look, run, and never look back. But I kept my arrow loosely nocked. I said quietly, are you the surreal? Let me get it on right. I gotta get it on right. Here we go. Can I do this? Are you the surreal? The fairy was rigid and stiff. Twice, once. Slowly it turned to me. The dark veil dipped over the bald head, blowing... I can't. It's so hard to read in this thing! Blowing a phantom breeze. The face of that looked like it had been crafted and dried. Weather-worn bone and skin, neither forgotten or discarded. The lipless mouth, the long teeth held by blackened gums, slit holes for nostrils, eyes that were nothing more than swirly pits of milky white, the white of death, the white of sickness, the white of clean, picked corpses. Picked above ragged neck in the dark robes of the body, veins and bones as dried, solid and horrified as textured its face. It let the snare. Two long fingers clicked against each other as it studied me. Human, it said, and the voice was once many, old and young, beautiful and grotesque. My bowels turned watery.
Holy shit!
All right, so the surreal is the first time we see watery bowels. It is official, ladies and gentlemen. We have hit watery bowel mode. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that's the first time. That's important to me. I don't know why, but it is. Okay, and then now we're talking about the surreal. Okay, okay, the surreal, its voice. Old and young, beautiful and grotesque. Did you set this clever trap? This clever, wicked trap for me. I think so. I don't know. Well, we're gonna read some stuff here again. I think we're gonna, you know what I mean? Hang on. It's a good one. Do we think that there are other parts that Surreal told Farah that are misinterpreted? I think there are, but I don't remember what they are. Tamlin, do we think that the shadow over Perinthian is actually Amaranth, or do we think he could mean Reese or Azrael? That's a good question. That's a good question, DW. I think he probably means a little bit of Amaranth and Reese, honestly. I think he means both of them. Yeah, I don't know. I think on that one, I honestly I think he would might mean both of them just because, she's in charge right now and he's the lackey. You know what I mean? Hmm. Right. Yeah, exactly, Em. Yeah, yeah. Oh, good thinking. I like that. I like that. Definitely so. Okay, okay. All right. Did you set this are you one of the surreal? I ask again, my words scarcely and ragged and breathing. Indeed I am. Click, click, click. Went his fingers against each other, one for each word. Then the trap was for you. I managed. Run, run, run. It remained sitting and bare, gnarled feet caught my snares. I have not seen a human woman for ages. Come closer so I might look upon my captor. I did no such thing. It let out a huffing off a laugh. And which of my brethren betrayed my secrets to you? None of them. My mother told me your stories. My mother told me stories of you. Lies. I can smell the lies on your breath. It sniffed again, its fingers clacking together. It cocked its head to the side. An erratic, sharp movement, the dark veil snapping with it. What would a human woman want from a surreal? You tell me, I said softly. I let out a low laugh. A test. A foolish and useless test. For if you dared to capture me, then you must want knowledge very badly. I said nothing, and then smiled with the lipless mouth and the gray teeth, horrifically large. Ask me your questions, human, then set me free. Not unless you seek to be killed, and your family with you. You must remain here. Whatever last shreds of hope I have been clinging to, whatever foolish optimism shriveled and died, this changed nothing. Before my fight with Tamlin this morning, I hadn't even entertained the idea. Anyway, perhaps I'd come here out of spite. So fine, if I was here, facing sure death, then I might as well learn something. What do you know about Tamlin? More specific, human. Be more specific. For I know a good many things about the High Lord of the Spring Court. The earth tilted beneath me. Tamlin is a High Lord? Click, click, click. You did not know. Interesting. Not just some pretty fairy lord of the manor, but a High Lord. One of the 7 territories. A High Lord of Prynthian. Little bitch-ass chode. Did you also know that this is the Spring Court, little human? Yes. Yes, I knew that. The surreal settled the ground. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, dawn, day, and night, it mused. And if I hadn't even answered the 7 courts of Prynthian, each ruled by the High Lord, all of them deadlier in their own ways, they are not merely powerful, they are power. That was why Tamlin had been the face, the bog, and live the High Lord. I tucked my fear. Everyone at the Spring Court is stuck wearing a mask, and yet you aren't, I said cautiously. Are you not a member of the court? I am a member of no court. I am older than the High Lords, older than Prynthian, older than the bones of this world. Lucian has definitely overestimated my abilities. And what can be done with this blight that's spread in Prynthian, stealing and altering the magic? Where did it come from? Stay with the High Lord, human, the surreal said. That's all you can do. You will be safe. Do not interfere. Do not go looking for answers after today, or you will be devoured by the shadow over Prynthian. He will shield you from it. Stay close to him, and it will be all, and all will be righted. Those milky eyes narrowed. The High Lord does not know what came here today, does he? He does not know that this human woman came to trap a surreal, because he cannot give her the answer she seeks. But it is too late. Human, for the High Lord, for you, perhaps your realm as well. Despite all that, despite its order to stop asking questions and stay with Tamlin, that's not what he said. It was his human woman that echoed in my head, that made me clench my teeth. But the surreal went on. Across the violent western seas, there is another fairy kingdom known as Hybern, ruled by a wicked, powerful king. Yes, a king. When he said, I raised a brow, not a High Lord. There is a territory that is divided into courts. There, his territory is not divided into courts. There, he is law unto himself. Humans no longer exist in the realm, though his throne is made of their bones. The large island I'd seen on the map, the one that hadn't yielded any lands to the humans after the treaty. And a throne of bones? The cheese? I'd eaten turned late in my stomach. For some time now, the king of Hybern found himself unhappy with the treaty the others of ruling High Fae, of the world made with you humans long ago. He resents that he was forced to sign it, to let his mortal slaves go, and to remain confined to the damp green isle at the edge of the world. And so, 100 years ago, he dispatched his most trusted loyal commanders and deadliest warriors, a remnant of ancient armies that once sailed the continent to wage such a brutal war against you humans. All of them as hungry and vile as he, as spies and couriers and loves. They infuriated the various high fae courts and kingdoms and empires around the world for 50 years. But when they had gathered enough information, he made his plan. But nearly 5 decades ago, one of his commanders disobeyed him, the deceiver, and the surreal straightened. We are not alone. I drew my bow further but kept it pointed at the ground, and I scanned the trees, but everything had already gone silent in the presence of the surreal. Human, you must free me and run, it said, those death-filled eyes widening. Run for the High Lord's mana. Do not forget what I told you. Stay with the High Lord, the Night Court, and live to see everything righted. What is it? If I knew what came, I could stand a better chance of that. The Naga. Fairies made of shadow and hate and rot. They heard my scream. They smelled you. Free me, human. They will cage me if you catch me here. Free me and return to the High Lord's side. Shit, shit, shit. I lunged for the snare, making it to put away my bow and grab my knife. But 4 shadowy figures slipped through the birch trees so dark they seemed made from a starless night. Bum, bum, bum. One, 2, 3, 4. Only got 4 more pages. We gonna get through the night. We gonna get through the night. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Oh.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
Rune Dannon.
Wrong button, my bad.
Wrong button on that one.
Exactly. What's the procedure, folks? What's the procedure? He gave us the heads up. I like it. Okay, so Tamlin, do we think the shadow over Prynthian is Amaranth? Okay, Feyre is not always great with context clues. Just saying, 100%, 100%. All right, we got one more chapter for thine evening, folks. Let's get it on. Same as every year. Here we go. Man, I think I got like a nose hair like bugging me. My mustache is like itching my nose or something. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, the Naga were sprung from the nightmare, covered in the dark scales and nothing more. They were horrendous combination of serpentine features in a male humanoid body with powerful arms that ended in polished black flesh, shredded talons. There were creatures of blood-filled legends, the ones that slipped through the wall to torment and slaughter mortals, the ones I would have been glad to kill that day in the snowy woods. Their huge almond-shaped eyes greedily took in the surreal in me. 4 of them paused across the clearing, the surreal between us. I trained my bow towards the one in the center. The creature smiled, a row of razor-sharp teeth greeting me as slivery, forked tongue darted out. The Dark Mother has sent us a gift today, brothers, he said, gazing at the surreal who was clawing at the snare now. The Naga's amber shifted toward me again. And a meal. Not too much to eat, another one said, flexing its claws. I began backing away towards the stream. towards the manor below, keeping my arrow pointed at them. One scream from me would notify Lucian. But my breath was thin, and he might not come after all. If he'd sent me here, I'd kept every sense fixed on my retracing steps. Human, the surreal begged. I had 10 arrows, 9, once I fired the knocked one in my bow. None of the mash, but maybe they'd keep a Naga down for long enough to flee. I backed away, another step. The 4 Naga crept closer, as if the savors of the slowness of the hunt, as if they already knew how I tasted. I had 3 heartbeats to make up my mind, 3 heartbeats to execute my plan. I drew my bowstring back further, my arm trembling, and I screamed, sharp and loud, with every bit of the air in my lungs too tight. And with the Naga focusing entirely on me, I fired the tether, holding the surreal in place. The snare shattered like a shadow in the wind. The surreal was off, a blast of dark that set forth Naga staggering back. The one closest to me surged towards the surreal, a strong column of its scaly neck stretched out. No chance of my movements being considering the unprovoked attack anymore. Not now that they've seen my aim. They still wanted to kill me. I let my arrow fly, the tip glinting like a shooting star through the gloom of the forest. It had all but blinked before it struck home in blood's blade. Tss. The Naga toppled back, just the remaining 3 whirled on me. I didn't know if it was a killing shot. I was already gone. I raced to the stream using the path I calculated earlier, not daring to look back. Lucian had said he'd be nearby, but I was deep in the woods. That's what she said. Too far from the manor and help. Branches and twigs snapped behind me too close, and snarls sounded like nothing I heard from Tamlin or Lucian or a wolf or any animal that still filled the woods. My only hope of getting away alive and the outrunning long enough to reach Lucian. And then, if he was there, he'd promised to be. I didn't let myself think of the hills. I would have had to climb once I cleared the forest itself. Or what if Lucian had changed his mind? The crashing through the bush became louder, closer. I veered to the right, leaping over the stream. Running water might have stopped the surreal, but a hiss and a thud close behind me did nothing to hold the Naga at bay. I careened in the thicker. The thorns ripped at my cheeks. I barely felt the stinging kiss of warm blood sliding down my face. I didn't even have time to wince, not as 2 dark figures flanked me, closing in to cut me off. My knees rose and I pushed myself harder, focusing on the growling brightness of the woods. But the Naga to my right rushed me, so fast I could only leap aside to avoid the slashing talons. I stumbled but stayed upright just as the Naga on my left pounced. I hurled myself to a stop, swinging my bow up in a wide arc. I nearly lost my grip as I connected with the serpentine face and bow crunching a horrific screech. I hurled over the enormous falling body, not pausing to look for the others. I made it 3 feet before the 3rd Naga stepped in front of me. I swung my bow at his head. He dodged. The other 2 hissed as they came up behind me. I grabbed my bow harder, surrounded. I turned in a slow circle, bow ready to strike. One of them stiffed at me, then slid in nostrils flaring. Scrawny human thing, it spat to the others, whose smiles grew sharper. Do you know what you cost us? I wouldn't go down without a fight, without taking some of them with me. Go to hell, I said, but it came out in a gasp. They laughed, stepping nearer. I swung the bow at the closest. He dodged it, chucking. We'll have our sport, though you might not find it amusing. I gritted my teeth as I swung again. I would not be hunted down like a deer among the wolves. I would find my way out of this. I would. A black claw hand closed around the shaft of my bow, and resounding snap echoed through the 2 silent woods. The air left my chest in a whoosh. I had only half the time to turn around before one of them grabbed me by the throat and hurled me to the ground. He pounded my arm so hard against the earth that my bones groaned and my fingers splayed, dropping the remnants of my bow. When we're done ripping off your skin. Oh, you're gonna cat butt. Yep, I saw you. When we're done ripping off your skin, you would wish you hadn't crossed printing. He breathed into my face to reach to the carrion, shoving down my throat. I gagged. We'll cut you up so fine there won't be much of the crows to pick at you. A white hot flame went through me. Rage or terror or wild instinct, I didn't know. I didn't think. I grabbed the knife in my boot and slammed into the leathery neck. Vile, what are we doing here, my girl? Blood ran down. Not. Doe! Cat button. Thank you. No, you're cat butt. You're killing me. No, 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 no. Oh, I can't do two cats. Okay, now the other one's up. Okay, what is happening? Jesus. Ah, the pussy's going crazy here tonight, folks. I don't know what to do. All right, where were we? Crossed into Corinthian, he breathed in my face, the reek of carrion shoving down my throat. I gagged. You're dumb, cat butt. Okay, let's just. There we go. Thank you, love. Ah, Lord. Thank you. All right. Right, Em? For real, right? I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're good tonight. Okay, we're good. He breathed in my face and the reek of carrion shoving down my throat. I gagged. We'll cut you up so fine there won't be much of the crows to pick. A white hot flame went through me, rage and terror and wild instinct. I didn't know. I didn't think. I grabbed a knife in my boot and slammed in my leathery neck. Okay, we're just... So, okay, well, you don't have a collar on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, toe. The white hot flame went through me, rage and terror and a wild instinct. I don't know. I didn't think. I grabbed my knife, the boot, and slammed in his leathery neck. Blood rained down my face. Where am I at? Yep. And in my mouth as I bellowed my fury, my terror. The Naga slumped back. The scrambled up before the two remaining could pin me, but something rock hard hit my face. I tasted blood and soil and grass as I hit the earth. Dancing stars in my vision, and I stumbled to my feet again, out of instinct, grabbing for Lucian's hunting knife. Not like this. Not like this. Not like this. One of them lunged at me. I dodged aside. His talons caught in my cloak and yanked, ripping into the ribbons just as the companion threw me to the ground, arms tearing beneath those claws. You'll bleed. One of them panted, laughing under his breath as the knife lifted. You'll bleed nice and slow. He wiggled his talons, perfect for deep, brutal cutting. He opened his mouth again. A bone-shattering roar sounded through the clearing, only it had to come from the creature's throat. The noise hadn't finished echoing before... What are we doing? And the noise hadn't finished echoing before the Naga went flying off and crashing into the tree so hard that the wood cracked. I made it out of the gleaming gold of his mask and his hair not long, deadly claws before Tamlin tore into the creature. Chode. The Naga holding me shreked and released his grip, leaping to his feet as Tamlin's claws shredded through his companion's neck. Flesh and blood ripped away. I kept a low ground, knife at the ready, waiting. Tamlin let out another roar that made the marrow of my bones go cold and revealed those lengthy canines. The remaining creatures darted for the woods. He only got a few steps away before Tamlin tackled him, pinning him to the ground. A disemboweled Naga and the deep one long swipe. I remained where I lie, my face half buried in leaves and twigs and moss. I tried not to raise myself. I was shaking so bad that I thought I would fall apart at the seams. It was all I could do to keep from holding the knife. Tamlin got his feet, wrenching his claws out of the creature's abdomen. Blood and gore dipped from them, staining the deep green moss. High Lord, High Lord, High Lord. Feral rage still smolders in his gauge, and I flinched as he knelt beside me, reaching for me again, but I jerked back away from the bloody claws that were still out. I raised myself in the sitting position before shaking resumed. I knew I couldn't get to my feet. Feyre, he said. The wrath faded in his eyes, and the claws slipped back under his skin, but the roar still sounded in my ears. There had been nothing in that sound but primal fury. How? It was all I could manage to say. But he understood me. I was tracking a pack of them. These four escaped. Must have followed your son through the woods. I heard you scream. He didn't know about the surreal, and he'd come to help me. He'd reached a hand toward me. I shuddered as he ran cold, wet fingers down my stinging, aching cheek. Blood. That was blood on them. And from the sickness on my face, I knew there was already enough blood shattering on me that it wouldn't make a difference. The pain in my face and my arms faded, then vanished. His eyes darkened a bit of the bruise, and I knew it was already blossoming on my cheekbone, but throbbing quickly lessened. The metallic scent of the magic wrapped around me, then floated away on a light breeze. I found one dead half a mile away, he went on, hands leaving my face unbuckled in baldric, then chucked off his tunic and handed it to me. In front of my own had been ripped and torn by the talons of the Naga. I saw one of my arrows in his throat, so I followed their tracks here. I pulled Tamlin's tunic over my own, ignoring how easily I could see the cuts of his muscles beneath his white shirt, the way the blood soaking in it made them stand out even more. A pure-blooded predator. A pure-breed predator, honed to kill without a second thought, without remorse. I shivered again and savored. Oh, now we're gone. Thanks! I shivered again and savored the warmth of the league of the cloth. High Lord, I should have known. I should have guessed. Maybe I hadn't wanted to. Maybe I had been afraid. Here, he said, raising to his feet and offering me a blood-stained hand. I didn't dare look at the slaughtered Naga as I clipped on the extended hand, and he pulled me to my feet. My knees buckled, but I stayed upright. I stared at our linked hands, both coated in blood that wasn't ours. No, he'd been the only one who'd spilled blood now. And it wasn't just mine, blood that still coated my tongue. Perhaps that made me as much of a beast as him. But he saved me, killed for me. I spat on the grass, wishing I lost my canteen. Do I want to know what you're doing here? He asked. No, definitely no. Not after he warned me plenty of times already. I thought I wasn't confined to the house and garden. I didn't realize it had come so far. He dropped my hand. On the days that I'm called away to deal with trouble, stay close to the house. I nodded a bit numbly. Thank you, I mumbled. Fighting past the shaking and raking of my body, my mind, the Naga's blood on me became nearly unbearable. I spat again. Not just for this. For saving my life, I mean. I wanted to tell him how much that meant. That the High Lord of the Spring Court thought it was worth saving, but I couldn't find the words. His fangs vanished. It was the least I could do. They shouldn't have gotten this far into my lands. He shook his head, lowered himself, and his shoulders slumping. Let's go home, he said, sparing me the effort of explaining why I had been out here in the first place. I couldn't bring myself to tell him that the manor wasn't my home, that I might not even have a home anymore. We'll walk back in silence. Both of us, blood-drenched and pale. I couldn't sense the carnage we left behind. Blood soaking the ground and the trees, the pieces of the Naga. We learned that something from the surreal, at least. Well, I'd learned something from the surreal, at least, even if it wasn't entirely what I wanted to hear or know. Stay with the High Lord or the Night Court. Fine, easy enough. But as the history lesson had come in the middle of giving me about the wicked kings and commanders and however they tied the High Lord inside of the Blight. I didn't have enough specifics to be thoroughly enough to warn my family, but the surreal told me not to go looking for further answers. I had a feeling I would surely be a fool to ignore his advice. Yep, you're admitting it now. My family would have to make do with bare bones of my knowledge, and then hopefully it would be What is so funny? What are we laughing at? You're killing me with your laughing every 2 seconds. What are we laughing at? At what? That's what I'm asking. What are we laughing at? Toes markings. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I didn't ask him anything more about the Naga, about how many he killed before those 4 slipped away. He didn't ask him anything at all, because I didn't detect a trace of triumph in him, but rather a deep, unending sort of shame and defeat. All right. What are we laughing at? I don't know. There's nothing new popping up, and I'm like, why are we laughing? Why are we laughing? And
Yeah, then I went to screenshot it here, and I saw that Emily's comment got
I That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't see half the stuff. I see toe, and then she sat there for like 5 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, nothing news popped up, and you're laughing. I'm like, okay, nothing news popped up. Nobody said nothing. What are we laughing at? All right, that was crazy. All right, making me lose my mind here, these cats. Anyway, woo! Are you about to jump in front of the camera now, Lily? Ay. Which way are you going? I'm really afraid of you, Cat Button. You always got turds on your butt. I'm telling you. Ooh, just sawed air. All right, there she is. Come on, Lee. Come on. You want to come say hi, everybody? Come on. Here. Oh. This is Lily. All right. And she's like, yep, you're probably hungry. Oh, you are so hot. She's so hairy. You're so hairy. All right, we got a Lily tail. All right, folks. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight for those 5 toe. We're doing this again.
It's Joe's show again.
Ah, the pussy's going wild tonight, folks. Anyway, well, as you see, the cats are going crazy. I want to. Oh, Lily's jumping. Okay, folks. I can't even give my outro because the cats are all up in here. All right, so you want to give the outro? Here, you want to give it? You want to say something? You want to say something?
Whiskers.
Oh, my Lord. All right, folks. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry for the late start, but life today. Join us tomorrow here on Wise Beyond the Stories. Ah, it's a pussy party. The girl on girl is action. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only pause. I don't even know what to do. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Have some buzzard on the way out. I don't know what's going on. And you get it in there. Pretty quick. Oh. Don't eat my... Stop! You're eating bone. Anyway. The cats are going crazy tonight. I'm out. We're out this bitch. The pussy's taking over. We're out. We're out, folks. I'm out. I got nothing. Have a good night. It's out of here. We're gone. We're out. What is happening?